All right, and we are here with the Evoke Mirror. We're going to be watching from the side of Corey Baumeister on the bottom. Yungdingo's at the top of the screen here. It looks like Yungdingo took a mulligan, and both on 6, excuse me. Yeah. So what do you think of these starts here?
Well, I assume the Thoughtseize is the best play in turn 1 usually in these mirror matches. Like traditionally, Ragavan is always the best play in turn 1. Like you play Ragavan, so you lose it. But I assume if it's a mirror match and you know it, maybe Thoughtseize is good so you don't get, so you can cut those scam hands. I don't know if that's. I'm not an expert on the specifically the scam mirror, but obviously seeing the hands face up here, if I'm Corey, the last thing I want to see is a Thoughtseize taking on my Undying Evil. I'm left down Whimsical with nothing.
Yeah, we have a little bit of caster vision, right? When we have all the information,
Absolutely,
Thoughtseize is super easy, and I think it's defendable either way, right? One thing that some scam players really live by is mulliganing aggressively to scams. Others believe in the mirror. You kind of just want lands and spells, right? So it's possible Dingo thinks Corey is in that camp, and it turns out Corey just drew the turn 1 grief thing, so he's going to probably end up doing that.
Yeah, it's also like the Ragavan is just fine in the mirror match, I assume. Like it's probably one of the weakest cards. So having it on your hand has some value because if your opponent has a heavy hand on Orcish Baumasters or is forced to have a Fury for your Baumasters, you can actually save it in your hand so you can pitch into Fury, which is often the best use for Ragavan past turn 1 or whatever. But I mean, Yungdingo is out there is one of the biggest scam experts. So he also definitely has played the matchup a lot. And I assume if he plays Ragavan here, it's because like he expects the removals to be on the Ragavan, so he can just try to win the game with the Masters. I will assume so.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me as well. And, Corey with the Undying Evil these days, now it's not dead after all. This one actually being up to block the Ragavan is kind of worst case possible here for Yungdingo, who, like you mentioned, is a scam expert, was kind of really pioneering the deck before people got on it in mass. So someone who probably has more games than, all of us combined on the deck here, as he is now left with no Baumasters, just a Swamp and a Thoughtseize. And it looks like, Corey is just going to make it so his hand can't even get Thoughtseize and evoke the Fury on the Ragavan.
Wow. Well, I mean, this definitely looks very bad for Dingo. This position, like, there was a while. This only turn 1, and we've seen a lot of cards already. Like, crossing the battlefield. Both players are no hand, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, you could also see a world where you don't Thoughtseize here because then again we see the hands. But if Corey Fury's here after seeing the hand, maybe there's a chance where he is doing this so he cannot get Thoughtseized.
Yeah, I think that's a spot where Dingo probably could have thought a little bit there. I've been like, wait, why would Corey do that? Oh, those are his only spells. Okay, he's just, trying to get value because I'm probably not going to draw anything good, right? So, it's defendable both ways, but there's a little lane go action here.
Yeah, I mean, Dingo has to top deck out of, as I said before, like now if he throws like Fable into Terminator or whatever, the game's like, I will expect this double scam matchup to end often like this. Ooh, Fable 4, Fable comes for Corey.
Yeah. I do think it is sort of like both players, like you mentioned, just kind of like we just do everything we can. And it's kind of like a stomping mirror in Legacy is how I've always thought about it, where like there's a bit more interaction there, but you kind of just off the top, big body sort of win. And we see that play out on the cards, right? Fury's one of the best draws. Fable's a draw. It's 2 bodies. So it's a really like interesting how the early games play. And then you kind of just like point and click at each other until somebody dies.
Yeah, I will assume Fable is one of the most important cards. Like, obviously, it's clunky because it doesn't come into play until turn 3. But once the dust is settled, this is actually one of the best optics because it doesn't require as many lands as the other cards. Like, Fury's obviously exists like a trump card, but also sometimes you don't have red cards. So, yeah. All right, we're going to see the sideboarding. I will expect these players to sideboard somewhat similarly. Like, Ragavan's out, some a little bit of the scam cards, and just become like black-red mid-range. Even though they will have some of the scam cards anyway, but they're going to have similar decks probably.
Yeah, I agree. We also saw Yungdingo just grab 7 cards immediately with his 4 Leyline, 3 Shieldreds, plopped them into his deck, and then start sideboarding here, cuts the Ragavans, trimming on Thoughtseize and a little bit of the Undying effects, like you said. Looks like Dingo is eyeballing up, maybe cutting one more card, just double-checking his work here. Meanwhile, Corey, very similar, cuts almost all the Undying effects from his deck and all the Ragavans, and just brings in all those mid-range cards we talked about before, really suiting up to play a bread-and-butter one-for-one game.
Yeah, it seems like Dingo values Thoughtseize a little bit less than Corey. Probably it's because of play draw, maybe also. We'll see afterwards, but like now Dingo's on the play, so he has less Thoughtseizes, which I think actually makes sense. Like Thoughtseize is a little bit better on the draw, so like we might see a little bit of a difference on the on the draw, because I also assume the Undying Evil cards are a little bit better on the draw also, so it's tricky. We see you in the sneaky Ragavan on Corey's deck now.
yeah. Some players do like having a Ragavan on the play, but Corey on the draw, it's a little aggressive. But I like a little aggression in my life.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we actually see.
He's thinking of Crocs. Well, I think that happens in this kind of situation. It's like Ragavan is definitely not very good. But we've been there where there's a card that's bad in the mirror match, but then you sideboard and play in a way where you lose to the card a lot.
Yeah, no, it's true. Also, Corey knows Dingo's deck list, right? He knows he has 4 Leyline of the Void, so Crocs is a card that maybe normally you think of a Mirror Breaker, less good here. As we do see, Dingo kept this Evoked Grief hand, but Corey has the Leyline.
Yeah, wow. Now this makes like Dingo's hand look so bad.
Yeah, and this is why we see so many players moving towards Leyline of the Void, right?
It just, yeah, I mean, definitely like also good against other decks, like particularly Living End probably, but like it's the deck where it's best. But it's just like it's a pseudo-mana interaction. Like there's the only way you can actually break the scam hands on the draw, which that's what we're seeing here. Like Corey's hand is just super well prepared to play the long game here. Like he's not in a rush because of Leyline of the Void. Also, he's not afraid of more Undying Evil cards. Even though like I think Dingo left he left 4, I think so.
I believe, yeah, he left 4 or 3. He definitely trimmed a good bit. I don't remember exactly. He was playing with it near the end there. Yeah, and these transformational sideboards, that's kind of how we started learning about Corey Baumeister, right? It was him and Brad Nelson dominating Standard. It was these transformational sideboards and staying on top of how to play mirrors. This is kind of Corey's wheelhouse.
Yeah, they know these things, like they're very good at this. And yeah, I mean, he also drew 2 of the Bone Crusher Giants, which were the cards we were talking about. Like I mean, look at this game, right? Like they're good because Bone Crusher is going to kill a creature, and also is going to come into play, and Dingo has to kill it. Like you can just not ignore the Bone Crusher.
Yeah, if you want to get really deep, you could argue Bone Crusher Giant's like a divination, right? It like always gets a 2 for 1. It kills something, it's got to die. It's like 2 cards.
Well, but it's also like kind of quality cards. Like it's not like the deck doesn't have that much removal, and even a smaller removal like Calling and Scaman doesn't kill Bone Crusher. So it's actually good divination. It's a divination, like it's like cascade kind of.
Yeah. I like what you're saying over here. As we do see an attack for 2 and a passing of the turn, it looks like Corey's probably going to end up Bone Crusher Gianting here.
The Bone Crusher. Yeah, the question is Corey going to play the Fable or the Bone Crusher? I will assume he will lead with the Bone Crusher, because you don't care when they terminate the Bone Crusher, and they have to anyway, and like terminate or Fury or whatever. And Fable is a little bit better, it's obviously stronger, but you don't need a rush to catch the Fable. Like Fable, sometimes you have to play it fast because then you flip it as soon as possible. This game doesn't look like it's going to be like soon over. I think the reason to play Fable here, and it's a very good reason, is so Grief doesn't get it discard your Fable.
Yeah,
and I think that's maybe the reason.
I really like that. That's a heads-up play where, normally Fable's a card great on turn 3, but also if the game goes long, it turns these extra lands and not dead after alls into real cards. But we much rather have it than not, as we do see Yungdingo is going to call Gon's command and make Corey discard a card. And if he had drawn the land, we would have had a Grief there.
Yeah, I mean, it will definitely change the game, right here, right? Like, okay. Well, this is interesting. I mean, Fable is a very interesting card. I think it's obviously not only strong, but also like, like you have to think where to play it, where to discard. It's very tricky to decide to discard on Fable.
I'll say it. Fable's close to our masterpiece.
Yeah, it is, actually. I mean, I also loved it in the Standard, just a little bit too good. If it was a little bit worse.
Yeah, I think if it didn't also win the game in multiples, and it just like the power of smoothing draws is really fun and players like it and you lead to more games. So like, he doesn't need to also win. As we do see a Thoughtseize here from Corey.
Yeah, I agree, actually. I think a fixed version of the Fable, just without, the third chapter just being more balanced, that would actually be just a totally fun card. And a very good one still, because here in Modern, it doesn't happen that often that you go to multiples or whatever. But in like Pioneer or Standard, for sure. All right. Ooh, want to see some Baumeister's own Baumeister violence, because both players drew Baumeister this turn.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot too, where Corey waited to get the Baumeister, but now he's going to get blown out. Or bowed out, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, there was no way, right? Even if he played main phase or something, he's just going to I think this exchange was going to happen.
Well, could Corey not have played on his main phase to kill the army?
Oh yeah, true. I mean the army. Yeah, I thought you meant like the
Oh no,
but
yeah,
still, like they kind of still trade. Like it's
yeah.
yeah.
If Corey's he's not like losing sleep, walking home, talking to Brad, being like, I really botched that one. He'll be okay.
No, you're actually right. Like if he main faces it,
Mhm.
it's good. I think the reason to wait here, the only reason I can think of is Ragavan, but presumably it's not in the deck. So you're actually very right. And I'm gonna see here, Corey not playing Takenuma, electing to not play Takenuma, and that tells you how much he values like Bone Crushers and Shieldred, right? Because Takenuma, Bone Crush. I mean, if Bone Crush is divination, what can I say? Takenuma is divination into divination, right? Like,
yeah. Retrace our divination. Holy moly! As a Dothi Voidwalker comes off the top, and that one, pretty strong in these mirror matches.
yeah, I mean, this game just looks fairly bad for Dingo. He drew another like mulligan card in terms of not that after all. And I think Corey can choose to just be aggressive playing the land on that Walker, or he can just choose to, be like, I'm ahead, I'm doing 4 damage a turn, I'm not in a rush. Well, should I just, like try to get a tempo here? You can just play the Walker, even if you use, like that's still like fine clock. Both options are reasonable, but I think maybe that's better. Just hold the Takenuma in the hand, because you only lose this game is if if Dingo draws like Shieldred, and you mana flood. But if you just hold this card, you're good.
Yeah, I can kind of see Corey's brain working right now, right? He almost played the Bone Crusher, but he's thinking, do I need to save the Stomp for those Shieldreds? What cards can Dingo draw? And Corey deciding instead of playing around Shieldred's removal spell, he's going to try and kill Dingo before he can get it. He draws the Shieldred!
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, well, we have a game here.
Yeah.
Well, Shieldred this up is like massive in this situation. Well, what a draw. Like if Corey had the Giant in the hand, maybe you have a different game. Even though still Shieldred will be a very big problem. Like Shieldred, I mean, Dingo's playing 3, and Corey's playing 1 Mimic and 1 the Sideboard. That's why. Like, it's just like so good here. It's like a standard, you're playing there and you're like, how do I lose this game? And the answer often is like, Shieldred.
Yeah. What could happen? Well, I could have an unkillable thing that clocks me and gains them life. I guess that would be hard to beat.
It is very hard. Like you cannot even attack into it. I mean, there's a world where Corey attacks here. Like, I mean, you could potentially like buff attack or something, but I think Dingo's too low life to ever consider that.
Yeah, maybe if Dingo's at like 30, he doesn't block because he's just like, whatever, Fury beats me, But in this spot, he is probably going to call the bluff, not really in a position to, do anything else.
Well, I mean, now, not the one for Dingo. I mean, there's still like draws that Corey has that are very good, particularly Shieldred. But Terminate, I mean, Dingo's life is just like on the Shieldred now. Like, it's definitely a good clock, but Corey needs it.
And Corey draws the 4th land. That does open up Takenuming back of Orcish Baumeister as a maybe finish off this Shieldred. We'll have to see how Corey wants to play it, though.
Yeah, that's very good because now the Bone Crushers can actually attack for 4. And that's actually exactly enough to be lethal. So I think the Dingo will have to block. If he doesn't know the land, he will have to chum with the Bowmeisters. We'll see. I think he's probably gonna. I mean, if you play Takenuma this slow, you're gonna cash it. The question is, you're gonna cash it now or next turn. So Cody goes for Fable first. So with 1 land more, Cody can actually do everything: attack, and then Takenuma, and then cast the Bowmeisters. And if he draws a spell, he draws a spell. So I think that's a good reason to cast the Fable first. Let's see what happens now.
Yeah, and Dingo picked up the Bowmaster. If Corey goes for maybe just a 1 of redraw on this rummage here, he could get in big trouble. If he does pick up a land.
But that's not a good land.
Yeah.
That's not what I meant by a land.
Yeah. You got to be more specific when you're asking it.
Well, Dingo plays the Bowmasters here. I mean, there's some value, obviously, holding the Bowmaster, so you can surprise block more. But at this point, like Dingo identifies correctly that the Corey might need to use this card, the Glyphs. Okay, what now? Oof. It's a complicated situation again.
Yeah, it's Heads up by Dingo there to prevent the redraw. You know, if Corey went for the rummage, he would die.
This could actually win the game for Dingo. The display, just play the Arc here and not waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And keep both Walker. Well, we can have the shadow block.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a Terminate Mild. There's only the Orcs to get for Corey.
Yeah, Orcs and Griefs. Not really interested in a Grief right here, believe it or not.
Well, Corey's to top deck now, or the game's gonna be over, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. I think his only out is, you know, somehow rumbling and getting that Shieldred to block a Bone Crusher Giant.
Yeah, but I don't think that's happening being a 2-life.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's fair. Hey, you know what? I made you attack me. I respect that. Let's see if Dingo blocks, right? You had to not attack my Jace. You know, I was like, oh, maybe Javier gets scared, you know? Who knows?
Yeah, no. I was just trying to be fast because I felt like, I think at that point the game was over, game one.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, wait, this is kind of over. I was like, let's just not mess up. I was playing carefully with my endurance. I was like, okay, I have this under control. I just don't do anything stupid. Like,
yeah. Oh, isn't it so cool to kill cards? As we do see a triple block, and we're gonna get a game 3 here.
Yep.
Unless Yungdingo disconnects.
All right. Dingo to 12. Well, this is wild. Like, Dingo had nothing, and he drew like land, Orc. Land Shieldred, Orc, land, Dolphy or something. Like, obviously the Orc was good as well, but like, Shieldred just single-handedly won this game.
Yeah, and it makes us wonder, right? Like, we talked about how having the Bone Crusher Giant to contest the Shieldred would be a big part of it, and Dingo, Corey here, you know, decided to try and push his advantage and kind of fell a little bit too far behind. Definitely didn't just auto die to the Shieldred, but eventually won the game.
Yeah, there's nothing else that can happen here. Is that correct?
I'm pretty sure, because you can't like use Fable to do anything fancy here. No. There's no card you can draw that gains life. Yeah, I guess Soul Spike was the out for Corey. They need to draw Soul Spike.
Yeah.
Bam.
All right, we're gonna see some changes maybe. So now Dingo is on the draw and Corey's on the play. Let's see if they change. Corey wants to have the Ragavan on the play, all the Ragavans. As you pointed out, like I think Ragavan is the weakest card in the matchup, but as I said, like, look at this game. Like, Leylands make it so actually Ragavan can run away with the game. And that's important because you don't want to leave too many dead cards. You don't want to leave too many like Undying Evil cards. He also kept like 3 copies, so it's not, if Ragavan is bad, it's not like he's gonna draw 2 or 3. So we'll see.
Oh, and we have the opposite of last game. Yungdingo with the Leyline and Corey with the Grief. Will Corey keep? And he did. And
yeah, you have to, right? Like, if you play this cam, you open this cam on the play, like, sure.
Yeah, that's one of those spots. Even in real life, if your opponent says snap keep while you're still deciding, you're like, well, probably still gotta do this.
So the thing here I see for Corey is when to actually cast the Grief within like pitching, presumably the other after all, because you want to try to catch the Fable or maybe Shieldred. Maybe the Fable. I guess the turn 2 is maybe the best moment. What do you think?
I think I either want to try and hit like Shieldred or Fable, and so I want to do it the turn before, like you said. And I think it all depends on what I draw for the turn. So like right here, you know, I'm kind of down maybe just to wait. Also, maybe just, you know, drawing Running Griefs when you're on the play means that the Shieldred won't be a problem, or less of a problem, I should say.
Yeah, that's true. Like here, you actually drawing on the 1, you don't cover Shieldred, so you're gonna you don't mind getting the 2-drop if there's not a Fable. Here we might actually see the Bowmasters go, right? Because they are the better one against Terminate. Like, you have Terminate against Dolphy Walker. Nothing on 3, but on 4 we have Grief for the Shieldred. So we force Dingo to draw some action. Obviously, this is a matchup where whoever draws a Fable from the top is going to be ahead. But that's often going to be the case in this stage, I will say.
I wonder if you're supposed to go after Shieldred or Fury just to like get the power cards out of here, right? Because you have Fury to clean up all the 2-drops, and then if you just Grief away those things, you know, obviously you want your Terminate to kill another big thing, and you know, just one big thing so often goes a distance. It's gonna be interesting to see how Corey wants to play it, because it makes a lot of sense what you're saying too. I'm just unsure of how I want to go about it.
Well, if that's gonna be a route, probably Shieldred is the one, because Fury's only going to be good when the board develops a lot. And you're going to have time to grief the Fury always, right? Whereas if you miss a land drop and they don't, you might not be able to deal with the Shieldred well. So I think that's maybe, I think either Fury or Shieldred. I think you're right, and that direction being the best, because you have to grind this game, right? You have to win with Fury and Grief. So may as well just make them good. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I see.
All right, more terminates.
So Dingo didn't play the Woodwalker leading for Baumasters. That's bad against Baumasters and good against Terminate, and I will say Bone Crusher and such.
Yeah. What about another Leyline of the Void? Is that good?
Yeah, I mean, that's a risk with Leylands, right? Well, I think this is a very important point for the game, because if Corey draws a land, like now Terminates the Walker, draws a land, plays the Grief on Shieldred, he actually will be in a good shape, right? He'll be ahead. Oh, didn't terminate the.
Oh, you see him rubbing.
He's gonna Fury everything.
Oh.
Well, he can still Fury everything, I guess.
Yeah. And, Kolaghan coming out, I think weirdly is maybe the best thing to pitch too, because, I guess there's going to be something about Kolaghan picking back up your Fury, so maybe that isn't the case. No, sorry, there's a Leyline of the Void, excuse me. So yeah, it's probably just Kolaghan's command.
Yeah, I mean, you can just discard the Kolaghan's command and just have enough for this. I mean, having 2 hard removals in your hand is very powerful. Like, if Dingo draws Shieldred, you just kill it, and if he doesn't, he's just gonna grief the Shieldred. So this is a very good situation for Corey. Like, I think his head at this point.
Yeah, he's down like all the fast start, but the Leyline of the Void hasn't mattered too much. And like you mentioned, the Terminate's going to answer this Shieldred, and if we draw a land off the top that's untapped, I'll say it for Corey this time. We can play. Yeah, and you see, there you go. That's the difference, Javier. If you do that, you're just gonna be unstoppable.
I'm learning. Well, this is a situation though where Dingo's deck is presumably better because he plays one more Shieldred. Like now they have both 2 Shieldreds in their deck. So Corey has the Bone Crushers, but they're not as good in this exact position. So obviously, whoever draws better is going to be advantage. But I will say Dingo's deck is a little bit stronger in this position. Ooh, Fury, a good card.
Yeah, it's weird too, right? Where Dingo's actually drawn a lot of the threats and Corey's drawn a lot of the answers, but Dingo just didn't have the time to put the pressure on Corey.
I mean, now this game is slipping away for Dingo. He needs to draw like ideally a land and a Shieldred, I will say. No, because that people Walker is also going to prevent the scam cards to function.
Yeah.
Well, Bolt is fine, right? Like it deals with Dalphi.
I wonder, do you think there's a world where he holds for Fury, or does he just have to use the Bolt now?
He can just, I think he has to use it because at this point he's at 13, going to 10, and every life point matters so much in this situation where like he needs to take out of this. He needs to Fable to discard the bad cards in his hand, and the only way to survive is to Bolt now. Like I think if he has facing a Fury, also Fury might not get casted here.
That's fair. Yeah, and he agrees with you, and we're gonna see a Thoughtseize.
Well, he has 5 lands. I thought he had 4. Well, I mean, this Thoughtseize means that if he can take the Fury, and now Shieldred is very clean against like Corey's hand. I guess Corey will play Leyline here, right?
Probably, yeah. I have to imagine it. Like you can always just upkeep the Terminate 2 against Shieldred, and you have so much life. Yeah. I would assume it is, but yeah, here goes. Corey's gonna tap out for the Leyline.
Leyline effectively Thoughtseize on not dead after all, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, counterspell if you want to get down to it.
And it's gonna matter here because it might matter. Oh, I mean that's a Shieldred Apocalypse, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So Corey has the
that is a lethal Shieldred
filter on. Yeah, it's a new secret layer that's dropping. Corey's gonna announce it pretty soon. It's pretty cool. And Shieldred's gonna be game, I think.